Yes, you were. Nothing has changed, sensibly.
Dien jaunajā gadā, godātie mediju pārstāvji.
Greetings in the new year, dear representatives of the media. We are starting the press conference of Minister for Foreign Affairs Edgars Rinkēvičs and Jean Asselborn from Luxembourg. The floor is given to Minister Rinkēvičs. Dear journalists, we have just finished our conversation with Mr. Jean Asselborn, who is the longest-serving Minister of Foreign Affairs in Europe, who has been in office for a very long time, and we have had a lot of issues to discuss. We have talked about our historical experience and about the topical issues that the European Union, NATO, and our bilateral relationship have to deal with. I would like to tell you that this is a symbolic visit because 25 years ago the Republic of Latvia renewed the diplomatic relations with the Great Duchy of Luxembourg, and 95 years ago we started our relationship when they recognized us de jure. Relationship between Latvia and Luxembourg is especially close because we both took part in the same presidency trio of the EU. The matters that we had to deal with in 2015 were matters we faced together, and they impacted us all. We work hand in hand in European meetings, and we work with internal and security relations. We are of the same opinion that small countries such as Luxembourg, a founding member of the EU, and Latvia, a more newcoming member, that small countries such as us have to work together in order to strengthen the economic dimension of the EU and the political dialogue. We need to strengthen the relationship between Baltic countries and Benelux, and we have good mechanisms of cooperation for that. We are discussing the European agenda and regional security, and we have also agreed to continue strengthening this kind of cooperation, in particular taking into account the difficulties presented by the upcoming Brexit procedure. We are of the same opinion here. We see no alternative to the European Union, and we know that we have problems to face, and we need to strengthen the EU in order to be able to face them successfully. We have discussed a number of other matters, such as relationships with Russia, such as matters concerning security and the execution of the NATO Warsaw Summit. The decisions of the summit are about to be implemented, such as the deployment of military forces and relocation. We are quite of the same opinion here about the things to be done. And of course, we talked about our bilateral relationship with Mr. Asselborn, and I have to say that our relationship is very good. We would like to agree upon specific steps to improve our economic cooperation, including in the domain of tourism, and we are thinking about strengthening our cultural cooperation capacity. We are also thinking about our Latvian diaspora in Luxembourg and their plans to celebrate the anniversary of our country in 2017.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, dear Edgars. We are friends. We are sitting in Brussels or in Luxembourg very closely together. We know us since 2010, I think, that we are both foreign ministers of the European Union, and it is an honor for me to be here, invited in Riga. I don't want to repeat everything that Edgars said, because I can only confirm that his resume was perfect. Luxembourg, you know, our population is even smaller than yours, but we know that our histories are different, and where we have a common point above all is our engagement to spend all our energy to make the European Union go in a good direction, not in the wrong direction. So we are Europeans, and in 2017 it will be a very important year, and Latvia, like Luxembourg, as founding member, and Latvia as a member that entered the European Union in 2004, I think we stick together and try to bring Europe in a good direction. As Luxembourg, I told you, we have not, let's say, huge military capacities, but we participate in this NATO battle group in your country here, in Lithuania also, and the Baltic air policing, there we make also a contribution. This afternoon now I will be in the university, and here also we try in Luxembourg to help really to develop some programs. So we have 650 Latvian citizens in Luxembourg. Most of them they work in Kirchberg, as we call it, so the European institutions, and you can imagine that we are very proud that we can that so many Latvian citizens live in Luxembourg. I don't know how many Luxembourg people live in Latvia, maybe less, but Edgars, you are right. I think on the cultural dimension, also on the economic dimension, we can increase our cooperation. So this school is it is the advanced program in law and economic, to be precise, where I will make a speech. Yes, we spoke about everything important in the European Union, and I think the resume was done by Edgars, and if you have questions, I think we are ready to answer these questions, if we are able to do this, because at this moment two very important things take place. First, the election of the new president of the European Parliament. That's not finished. I heard now the last round will be at 8 o'clock in the evening, and the second is this speech of Theresa May concerning Brexit. But I think that the future of Europe does not depend on the elected president of the US, nor on the Prime Minister in UK, because UK took a decision, but it is up to us, countries like Luxembourg, Latvia and Luxembourg, have to fight for the wealth of not only our generation, but also the other generations living in the 21st century.
Then I'm afraid you just invited one question.
That's,
Thank you, Mr.
we
Minister.
will do it.
So, start. Yeah.
My question goes to Mr. Asselborn. I'm with Latvian Independent TV News. My name is Gatis Sukoveckis. You already mentioned Theresa May's Brexit speech. What impact will Brexit have on EU, and are you concerned?
Mm-hmm. Yes, unfortunately I don't know what she said. If she spoke already, not yet. Okay. So we can change it still from here. No, to be very serious, first thing, like every country in the European Union, the 23rd of June 2016 was not a good day for the European Union. And I think not a good day also for UK. We are in a lose-lose situation. Now, it's done. We have to respect the decision of the people and also the government in UK. We cannot punish a country that has the intention to leave the European Union, but also not the contrary. I think you understand. Second point is, as I mentioned before, Europe will continue. It is a peace project, and we have to do everything we can do. And it is not only the challenge is not only Brexit. The challenge is also inside the European Union. We have to defend human rights. We have to defend rule of law, and we have to defend also social standards in the European Union. Therefore, I am confident that we will have 60th anniversary of the Treaty of Rome in spring now in Rome, Capitol Hill in Rome. We have also a Capitol Hill in Europe, and here the European Union has to face, I think, yes, the destiny of its future. And this does not depend, I repeat this, from London or from Washington. It's up to us to do this. Last point on Brexit. Yes, I think that the decision to lay this Article 50 on the table will be taken soon. I was in London, I think, in March. Then the negotiation can start. Before we have no negotiation. We have to finish this before the election in 2019. Then we have also to see in parallel or not in parallel, I don't know, how can be established the future relation between UK and the European Union. Boris Johnson repeats every time in Brussels, we leave the European Union, but we do not leave Europe. That's nice to say it, but also it's up to us to really understand this. We want to have good relations with UK, but UK will no more have the profit of the common market. That's clear too. So we have to find an issue. I know that more than 100,000 people from Latvia are working and living in the UK. And when I was in London, they told me that the point number one to find a solution is how can we manage the problems, the Brits in Europe and Europeans in UK. And I think that this is a good attitude, and I hope that this will also be the case in reality. Therefore, now we have to see. Article 50 will come, we negotiate, and maybe that in the future there will be, let's say, a free trade agreement between the European Union and Britain. We have CETA, for instance, now, things like this. On the other side, Luxembourg, for instance, has a finance center. There are interests, European interests, some economic, or like we with our finance center, we have to defend the interests of the European Union. So, wait and see.
Paldies. Vēl kāds jautājums? Jā.
Thank you. Any more questions?
Question to Mr. Asselborn. What do you make of President-elect Trump's comments on NATO? NATO is obsolete, and also that he said more countries may leave the EU. Are these unfriendly gestures, comments from the incoming U.S. president? Thank you.
No, I repeat my sentence. Our destiny is in our hands. And I think also the destiny of NATO is in our hands. I cannot imagine a president of the United States saying that security of the United States has nothing to do with the security in Europe. So therefore, yesterday we spoke about, for instance, the Middle East policy, and we said we invite the new Secretary of State, Tillerson, if he is nominated, to speak about foreign policy and also to speak about NATO. And therefore, I am a member, a citizen of a very small country. I have a certain experience in the European Union. I don't believe that it is in the interest of the United States to weaken NATO. And therefore, I know that NATO may be seen in your country here differently from how we see it in our country. But we need a strong defense system. NATO is not an offensive defense system, it is a defensive system, and I am convinced that, okay, there will be discussion on the contribution of every country for NATO in this aspect, but the word obsolete and NATO, I cannot see really a serious relation between the two words.
Tāpat jau jautāsiet, es laikam papildinu.
Since you are going to ask, I will add a comment so that there is no separate question that I anticipate. Firstly, I would like to say that we see NATO as an organization that is as important today and as significant for European security and transatlantic security as it was in 1949 in the very beginning. We know all the risks, we know all the threats that our continent is currently experiencing, and we know what is the impact and influence into strengthening the security of Europe and the EU. Secondly, I read the full text of the interview, and I also read in that interview that NATO is important to the president-elect of the US, not just that it is obsolete, and that the president-elect thinks that European security must be aided. There has been a lot of critical attention regarding unfounded spendings, and this is something that we talked about. Latvia, for example, is taking into account the deadline for contributions, and we have already approved the necessary spendings in the budget. Thirdly, the new administration will work on issues that the new president-elect indicated as problem issues, such as war on terror. And if we are going to follow very closely what is happening in the Congress and the interviews of candidates, then we'll notice that the candidate nominated for the defense position and for the state secretary position commented on the importance of security, and we hope that we will reach a level of cooperation with the new administration that is on par with the cooperation that we had with the previous administrations. We need to understand that NATO ensures the security for Europe and for the US. And frankly, the only moment when Article 5 was implemented was the war in Afghanistan after the terror acts in September 2001, when we all, including Latvia, which wasn't part of NATO at that point, we all contributed to the fight against Taliban, and war on terror is not something that is quickly done. It's a long and painful process, but NATO is not a one-way street, it's a two-way street. It's a two-way street of cooperation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So.